How much fertilizer does a Monstera need? How much fertilizer does a Monstera need? This is one of the most common questions when caring for Monstera. You want to give your plant enough nutrients to support healthy leaves and new growth, but you don't want to use so much fertilizer that you damage the roots. And the tricky part is that there isn't one exact amount that works for every Monstera. The right amount depends on the fertilizer you use, its concentration, how often you fertilize, the season, and how actively your plant is growing. In this video, we'll look at how much fertilizer your Monstera actually needs and how to feed it safely. Let's get started. Ester 1. There is no universal dose. The first thing to understand is that different fertilizers have different strengths. A concentrated liquid fertilizer may require only a small amount mixed with water. Another product may need a larger amount because it is more diluted. So you shouldn't use the same number of teaspoons for every fertilizer. Instead, check the instructions on the product you're using. The fertilizer label tells you how much product to mix with a specific amount of water. Start with the recommended dilution. For a healthy Monstera, the safest place to start is usually the manufacturer's recommended dilution. Measure the fertilizer carefully and mix it with the correct amount of water. Don't estimate by eye. And don't make the solution stronger because you want your Monstera to grow faster. A stronger fertilizer solution increases the risk of salt buildup and root damage. The goal is to provide enough nutrients, not as many nutrients as possible. 3. A weaker solution can be safer. If you're worried about over-fertilizing, using a more diluted solution can be a cautious approach, depending on the fertilizer's instructions. Some growers prefer providing nutrients at a lower concentration more regularly. However, this only makes sense when the product is suitable for that type of application. Always check the label first. The important thing is to avoid repeatedly applying a strong concentration. 4. How often does a Monstera need fertilizer? The frequency depends on the fertilizer and the growing conditions. During active growth, a Monstera may benefit from regular feeding. This is especially true when the plant has plenty of light and warm temperatures. But if growth slows down, the plant may need less fertilizer. During a cooler or darker season, you may need to reduce feeding rather than continuing at the same intensity. Think about growth activity, not just the calendar. 5. Light affects fertilizer use. Light is extremely important. A Monstera needs light energy for photosynthesis. When it receives bright, indirect light, it can actively produce new leaves and use nutrients to support that growth. But if the plant is sitting in a dark location, it may grow very slowly. Adding more fertilizer won't compensate for insufficient light. In fact, unused nutrients can accumulate in the soil. So before increasing fertilizer, make sure your Monstera has enough light. 6. The size of the plant isn't everything. A large Monstera doesn't necessarily need a dramatically stronger fertilizer concentration. A bigger plant may use more nutrients over time because it has more leaves and active growth. But that doesn't mean you should simply double the fertilizer. Keep the concentration appropriate for the product. If the plant is actively growing, you can maintain an appropriate feeding routine rather than dramatically increasing the dose. 7. Healthy roots matter. Your Monstera can only benefit from fertilizer if its roots are healthy enough to absorb water and nutrients. If the roots are damaged by root rot or poor drainage, the plant may struggle even when fertilizer is available. In this situation, adding more fertilizer is not the answer. It may create even more stress. Check that your pot has drainage holes and that the soil doesn't stay wet for excessively long periods. Healthy roots are the foundation of healthy growth. 8. Don't fertilize extremely dry soil. Be careful when fertilizing a severely dry Monstera. A very concentrated fertilizer solution can be harsh on stressed roots. If the plant is badly dehydrated, restore appropriate moisture first. You don't need to flood the plant or keep the soil constantly wet. Simply return to a normal watering routine before resuming regular feeding. 9. More fertilizer does not mean faster growth. This is probably the most important point. Many growers think more fertilizer equals more nutrients equals faster growth. But plants have limits. Once nutritional needs are being met, adding more fertilizer doesn't automatically create more leaves. Excess nutrients can accumulate as soluble salts. This can damage roots and eventually cause slower growth. So if your Monstera is growing slowly, don't immediately increase fertilizer. Check the light, roots, watering, temperature, and soil first. Number 10. Signs you're giving too much. Your Monstera may show signs of fertilizer stress. Look for brown leaf tips, crispy leaf edges, white crust on the soil, slower growth, root damage, general leaf stress. These symptoms can also come from other problems, so don't diagnose overfertilization from one symptom alone. But if you recently increased the fertilizer concentration or frequency, it's worth reviewing your routine. Number 11. What if you accidentally overfertilize? If you've applied too much fertilizer, don't panic. Stop fertilizing temporarily. If there is significant salt buildup, you can flush the potting mix with clean water. Allow plenty of water to pass through the soil and drain completely from the bottom. This can help remove excess soluble salts. After flushing, don't immediately add more fertilizer. Give the plant time to recover. 12. Liquid and slow-release fertilizers are different. The type of fertilizer also matters. Liquid fertilizer is diluted in water and applied directly to the soil. Slow-release fertilizer gradually releases nutrients over time. Because they work differently, the dosage and application schedule are completely different. Never use the dosage for a liquid fertilizer as a guide for a slow-release product. Follow the instructions for the specific fertilizer. Number 13. What about fertilizing every time you water? Some fertilizers are specifically designed for frequent diluted applications. Others are intended for occasional feeding. So fertilizing every time you water isn't automatically right or wrong. It depends on the product and the concentration you're using. If the fertilizer label recommends frequent feeding at a low concentration, follow that method. If it recommends feeding every few weeks, don't automatically turn it into a weekly routine. 14. The goal is enough, not more. A good fertilizer routine should provide your Monstera with adequate nutrients without creating buildup. That's the key word, enough. You don't want to starve the plant, but you also don't want to constantly push nutrients into the soil. If your Monstera has good light, healthy roots, proper watering, and suitable temperatures, appropriate fertilizer can support strong and consistent growth. Final thoughts. So, how much fertilizer does a Monstera need? There isn't one exact amount for every plant. The best approach is to follow the recommended dilution and frequency for the specific fertilizer you're using. Feed more consistently when your Monstera is actively growing, and reduce feeding when growth naturally slows. Don't increase the concentration just because you want faster growth. More fertilizer doesn't necessarily mean more leaves or bigger leaves. Too much can actually cause salt buildup, root stress, and slower growth. Instead, focus on the complete growing environment. Give your Monstera good light. Keep the roots healthy. Use well-draining soil. Water appropriately. Then provide fertilizer in a moderate and consistent way. The goal isn't to give your Monstera the most fertilizer possible. It's to give it the right amount at the right time. And when you find that balance, fertilizer can support healthy, steady growth without putting your plant's roots at unnecessary risk. Thank you for watching Plants Every Day. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more simple indoor plant care tips. Be sure to explore our Monstera fertilizer and nutrients playlist for more easy guides on feeding your Monstera and keeping it healthy. See you in the next video. Happy growing!